Well, there have been some interesting developments in Trump world or relating to things that are making him very unhappy, likely. And so I want to update you on both of them in this segment. You have the political and the legal. Now, those obviously intertwine quite a lot these days, but we'll start with the political. But this also relates to some legal stuff, so let's bring in our legal expert, Aaron Parnas, to outline this bad day for Trump. I genuinely think the first thing we're going to talk about is one of the things we'll look at retrospectively as, hey, this is the turning point. This is when things start to look bad for Trump electorally and why eventually he hopefully loses. Then we'll get into his legal stuff. So, Aaron, give us the news on Arizona and the ramifications of that for Trump.
Yeah, so Donald Trump is panicking in Arizona. As you know, the Arizona Supreme Court yesterday upheld a law from 1864. By the way, before Arizona was even a state, Arizona was a state in 1912. The law made anyone who assisted someone in performing an abortion punishable by up to 2 to 5 years in Arizona prison. And Donald Trump came out today and essentially said, you know what, hey, you got to leave it up to the states about whether doctors who perform abortions should get punished or should get sent to prison. He essentially endorsed that point of view. So that was number one. And then number two, in Arizona, the Arizona Republican Party in the legislature had the opportunity today to reject the bill. Democrats had put forth a number of pieces of legislation that would have rolled back the 1864 bill, but both the Senate and the House in Arizona decided to essentially reject those, didn't vote on it, punted on the issue, effectively endorsing the 1864 bill as well. So right now, the 1864 bill is law in Arizona, and that does not bode well for Donald Trump. It does not bode well for Kari Lake, who's running for Senate. It's just bad news all around for Republicans across the state of Arizona, because we know that when abortion is on the ballot, Republicans lose. We saw it in Kansas, Ohio, and we're likely going to see it in Arizona too.
Yeah, and you referenced Trump saying his new line. Finally, he's clarified what it is that he's running on in terms of this issue, but he thinks it's a great play. We'll see if it is. Here was the response you're referring to when a reporter asks about this law.
Question. You answered some questions about abortion, but do you think a doctor should be punished who perform abortions?
I'll let that be to the states. You know, everything we're doing now is states and states' rights.
Just going to pause your viewing of this video to ask you to subscribe. It makes a huge difference. Just takes a click if you're enjoying the content. If you're not, what are you doing here? Go away, haters. But if you like it, please click the subscribe button, and back to the video.
And what we wanted to do is get it back to the states, because for 53 years it's been a fight. And now the states are handling it, and some have handled it very well, and the others will end up handling it very well. And those are the things that states are going to make a determination about. Okay?
Yeah, so I think even I, Aaron, underestimated just how bad all of this was going to be for Republicans politically, and thus how much panic we were going to be seeing exuding. I had covered a story of Kari Lake. You brought her up, where she is just blatantly trying to rewrite her record on this subject, where she previously endorsed this 123-year-old law, Civil War era, before Arizona was a state, nearly totally banning abortion. And before this decision came down, especially in her gubernatorial run, she spoke very positively of it. But then she just recently released a statement backtracking and saying, no, I'm against this. And now the fact that Republicans are unwilling to assist in acting promptly to overturn this horrible law, I think is only going to make that political situation for Republicans even worse.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm honestly not surprised. I mean, you see this across the country, not just in Arizona, but Arizona is especially important because it's one of the top battleground states in 2024 for Trump. This is a state that went for Biden for the first time, went for Democrats for the first time in decades. And Donald Trump was hoping to flip it on an immigration message. But now, with abortion on the ballot, he's even running from the Arizona Supreme Court decision while kind of getting himself stuck in this box of states' rights. He put his position out that he is a big supporter of states' rights when it comes to abortion. Well, now he's stuck saying that states can decide that doctors who perform abortions or assist women in making these important medical decisions, that they can go to prison for up to 5 years. and hey, states' rights. So Donald Trump is really stuck in between a rock and a hard place, especially since people in his own party, Lindsey Graham and others, have come out and rejected this position. So it's pretty bad. Republicans are jumping ship. Democrats are not supporting him by any means. So he's stuck. It's a really bad day for him politically.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say before getting to the legal update, I think for him, he thinks this is the perfect thing. I'll say to conservatives, I got rid of Roe v. Wade, so you guys be happy with me. To sort of your independents or moderate Republicans, hey, I'm just going for states' rights, so I'm not going to the furthest extreme of a national abortion ban. But what that actually does, and what we need to make sure we make clear for people, is that Trump is taking credit for the very action, the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which he should get the blame for, that enabled all of the worst things we're seeing state by state, including what's going on in Arizona. So that message is actually one that underlines why he's so horrible on this issue, doesn't portray him in a moderate light. So now give us the legal story, Aaron.
Yeah, so, and probably an even bigger story for Trump is the fact that his 10th attempt to delay the upcoming Stormy Daniels hush money trial in New York City, which is scheduled for April 15th, was denied by an appellate court today. Donald Trump filed a motion saying that Judge Merchant, the judge who's overseeing the criminal trial, doesn't have authority to issue a number of the opinions he's issued. He doesn't have jurisdiction under Article 78 in New York, which essentially says that he's not the right judge to be deciding some of the issues he's decided. He went to the appellate court. He asked for a stay pending a decision on that motion. The appellate court said, absolutely not. Your trial's moving forward as planned on April 15th. This was Donald Trump's 10th attempt, which just shows the desperation of Trump and his team to get this trial kicked. And I mean, I would be desperate too if I were him, because now he's going to have to spend the next month inside of a courtroom and not on the campaign trail, where after spending already 2 months last year inside of a courtroom during a civil fraud trial. And this criminal trial, Luke, is going to be a lot more serious, something Trump's really never experienced before, than a civil trial. I've been a part of civil trials, I've been a part of criminal trials, and the tone in a criminal courtroom, in a criminal proceeding, is just so much different. One that Donald Trump truly never experienced before. So it's going to be a big, rude awakening for him Monday morning.
Yeah, so all these delay tactics, I was reading through some messages the show has received, but I guess I've been sent, and is preparing for a segment I want to do where I respond to audience feedback, especially angry audience feedback. And one of a bunch of the messages actually respond to when I bring up that Trump's been indicted. And it's silly that the Law and Order party is going for the guy who's been indicted 4 times. And people will correctly point out to me in very interesting and vile language that an indictment is not a conviction. And so it's, in their minds, unfair to bring that up to dispel with the notion that the Republican Party is the party of law and order. But if that's what you're hoping for, then, for him to be proven innocent, then why are you okay with and cheering on Trump trying to delay this? Wouldn't you want that process to happen as quickly as possible so he can be acquitted and we can get on with the election, Aaron?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, listen, I could speak for probably almost every American. No one wanted to see a former president, indicted. But when a former president commits criminal actions, they're not above the law. An indictment must come just like it must come for any average civilian. And your viewers are right. An indictment is not a conviction, but an indictment is going to be tested in a courtroom with 12 jurors. The system is going to work, and they're going to issue their verdict based on the evidence. And if the charges are not proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then they must acquit Trump. But in this case, this is what a lot of prosecutors and just legal experts call a paper case. It's a case based on documents. It's a case based on signatures, on checks, on tangible items. It's not a circumstantial evidence case where you have a eyewitness testimony, for example, or just like some crumbs leading to a potential crime. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you do believe he's going to be proven innocent, let it happen quickly. Let's do this thing. I'll accept that if it's the result, because I do believe in the process that we have. hopefully you will as well if it goes the other way, MAGA. Aaron, where can people find you?
On all my social platforms, just at Aaron Parnas.